situations and problems in your life that you want to break away from and feel like you can't? Do you wonder, how can I be free from these issues that have destroyed my life? Well, my friend, I have the answer. Bible Way Hibner Memorial Church of God in Christ presents Chain Breakers, this and every Sunday at 9 a.m. here on WHYL.
From the L.B. Smith Ford Lincoln Studios, Oldies 102.9 is WHYL Carlisle.
Welcome to the Real Estate Radio Guys, your weekly source for all things real estate. We're your hosts, real estate broker John Rainville and your mortgage expert Kingsley Harmer discuss everything from mortgage rates to home staging for foreclosures and everything in between that affect the daily real estate market. Real people, real questions, real answers. Today's show is brought to you by www.pagoloan.com, your source for new mortgage loans. NMLS number 1018. EnviroQuest, trusted for home inspections and radon mitigation in Central PA for over 25 years. And brokersrealty.com, the easiest way to search for real estate in your hometown. Now, on to the show.
Good morning, real estate people. It's a really nice day here in Pennsylvania. A lot of Corvettes driving around this morning. Kingsley, what do you think?
Yeah, I was surrounded by about 8 of them on the turnpike on the way up here.
Oh, yeah, they were charging past me on the turnpike.
Yeah, and then there was a Mustang that felt a little left out, so he decided to try and get into the game, and then the Corvettes kind of left him in the dust. But it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And my little, Ford Taurus, I floored it, but, it didn't help any.
So I guess we're all here this week because not one of us hit the Powerball.
I did. I did 3 times before I woke up, and then I wondered why can't we just give out $750 million winners? I mean, that would change, that many more people's lives to just say, hey, let's take the first 750, whoever have the most
numbers.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah. And why not?
That would change the odds.
Don't you think more people would spend $1 every week if they were doing that too?
Yeah. It would get my attention.
Yeah. I think it would be great. I think we ought to start doing that.
And we all survived the eclipse.
Yeah, it was rough. Now I will say that I tried the tricks online that they told you to do. Aside from the little pinhole
and your Cheerios box,
the Cheerios box. I did the selfie mode, and I turned the phone up and I pointed it up there, and I was blinded for a little bit, I think, because it still wasn't really cool to stare at on the phone. It was pretty bad.
So you didn't have any of the glasses?
No. What?
See, now we were down. We hustled on down there to Myrtle Beach, and we saw it. I was watching it from the pool, but we had the glasses because Miss Betty had ordered them, and it was very cool. But so to give you a little bit of difference, because that was supposed to be like almost 100% blockage where we were. The air and the sky, if you've ever put on a pair of like brown sunglasses as opposed to like green sunglasses, the air actually looked golden. Okay, so and it definitely dimmed down. Did it go totally dark where we were? No, but I mean the air was definitely like a golden color. I mean it was very eerie.
Well, I know they say that you could have used the glasses for welding.
Yeah, the welding goggles. Yeah.
So I probably could have pulled those out if I was, that interested in it. But I figured, what, I'll get better pictures online of it, which I did. I stared at it for about a half a second. I had a, follow suit with some people, and at least kind of take a look with my own eyes for half a second. And I didn't see anything. It was just a big ball of bleh.
Yeah. Well, this morning, our show is we're going to be talking with Rhodes Water Systems here later in the show about things about wells and water treatment. And, if you have water problems, you can give us a call on 717-249-1787 or hit us up on their Facebook page. We're up live streaming on Facebook on, the Real Estate Radio Guys page right now, and post any of your questions there. But I want to talk a little bit about the market before we get to Mr. Rhodes here this morning. And the rates, interest rates, we're down to beginning levels again.
Yeah, I'm actually real excited. I wish it would I wish it would help spur the market a little bit. Because we've been here discussing low rates since, for the most part, the beginning of the year.
Yeah, this is what we were told at the beginning of the year when we had our show. We told them that
it was going to skyrocket.
Well, that it was going to go up,
right? So here we are. I mean, even if it was, quote unquote 4.4% here, which they were initially predicting, for the end of 2017. I mean, it's still the lowest rates in 30 years. If you look at the average overall, all the years.
Right, they're low. They're low, and right now also, I guess now Fannie Mae is going to the join Freddie Mac on the where I guess appraisals aren't required.
Well, they already had it. They were kind of one of the first ones to do it, but it wasn't like.
Was it just on refis they were doing it?
No, it's funny how they're doing it because it's great and it's scary all at the same time. Because if you remember, those of you that were listening back in our show about Zillow and the automated valuations about all the properties and how it wasn't accurate, and you had to get an actual CMA from a realtor or appraisal to get the true value of the property.
Right.
What's scary about all this is that with Fannie and Freddie now kind of pushing this product, we really are kind of at the hands and the fate of those pushing whatever values they want because it's all automated. It's all a Zillow value at the end of the day. So, for example...
So do you personally think... They call those, what, AVMs, automated valuation?
Yes. It's a Zillow appraisal.
So...
in essence.
Right. It's done off of databases. Now, do Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have their own databases that they're working off of, or are they working off of? Are they just clicking on and going to Zillow or Trulia?
Well, I don't think they're. I think they're a little bigger than that. But for the most part, they all have access to all the same databases. So what they do is they cross-reference all of them. Now, do I know exactly which ones they are? Do I have access to them? No. But most of us do have access to get those same valuations online with some of the bigger companies. So, if you go, the problem here with the AVMs is not that in a perfect world, and we've already had this discussion, that if you had 10 homes in the same development that were all kind of built by the same builder and had maybe some, small differences, that the values would be fairly accurate. The square footage was a little off and you had to make some very minor adjustments. Wouldn't be that big of a deal. But, for example, there was a loan in let's say across the tracks, and it's only a 1/10 of a mile away, but you've got the cliffs, and you've got, Allegheny next to it?
Oh, Allendale. Yeah,
Allendale, right?
Yeah.
So you've got the cliffs in Allendale, and you literally have a home from the cliffs backdoored to one from Allendale, right? So if you were looking at that from a map standpoint, you would not differentiate the two homes at all other than the sizes and whatnot. But obviously, when you're in a gated community, and it's a different type of community, and the houses all around it are the same, it affects the value of that property. And that is not taken into account when doing an AVM. So I think what we're going to get into a lot is when and where can we order or request a full appraisal to be done on a property if we don't agree with the AVM. Now, it's too new to figure out whether or not it's a problem or not. So,
yeah, I know. It's just we're just trying to figure out how that's going to impact things. I guess the appraisers, should be somewhat concerned because it's going to impact a lot of their business.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of them have had a gravy train ride here. I know some appraisers that make some good six-figure incomes.
Yeah, gravy train is, when you have appraisers that basically just have orders and orders and orders and orders come in,
right,
and they have no sense of urgency, I guess is the case, because they know more orders are going to be coming in behind it.
Yeah,
it's
a captive audience. It's
a monopoly.
It's just cha-ching, cha-ching,
So
cha-ching.
the problem was before 07, before the whole crash, appraisers were just as busy, in my opinion. And the thing is with the appraisers then, of course, we have to regulate it. We have to regulate it because it was the appraiser's fault that we got into the mess we did, right? So that was one of the things they said, oh, well, you can't call the appraiser directly and order an appraisal because you could be giving them too much information.
Right, so they separated all of that out.
Right.
And what's that system called?
Well, it just goes to a national system. So everything, like there's a national order system that you have to go through. That way it's...
So if you're the lender and I'm the appraiser, there's actually somebody in between
I
us.
don't talk to you until after the appraisal if it's at that point even possible. So I order through, there's several of them, I order through a central agency. They hire out the appraisers, and I won't even know who you pick at the time. So the idea is that I can't call you up and say, hey, John, you know that house on Main Street? I need an appraisal. She's really a nice old lady, and she's trying to take cash out on this property. So, the higher the value, the better. I was kind of hoping for $300,000. So here you are wanting the business and are stretching the values. That was the quote-unquote whole reason for starting this whole thing. Now, unfortunately, it's just you throw the order in, and people are just taking them multiple orders, and there's no, repercussions. They don't care if they get called and they have an issue with the appraisal. It takes forever to get stuff done. I don't know. I think there needs to be a little bit of switch to that. But we're off topic, obviously, quite a bit.
So the rates are
still
flat.
Fabulous.
Very, very flat.
They're still awesome. They're still fabulous.
Across the country right now, home prices are up almost 7% across the country. Here in PA, we're up 4% on the year.
Which is good for Pennsylvania.
Which is good because we're still sitting on the tight inventory. Only 2 states in the country are down lower than last year, Alaska and West Virginia.
Well, I can see why.
What's your insight on that?
Well, I'm not sure the price of rubber has gone up. So, all those little tires that are sitting on top of the tarps of the roofs in West Virginia, I don't think are raising the value. Now, Alaska, I think they should go up immensely in Alaska because you can see Russia from there.
Well, you've got the Alaska Bush family there, too. But, okay, so we're still seeing prices going up. Obviously, the low interest rates are something that are helping drive that right now in the market.
And the programs really are. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's all everything's supposed to be market driven, right?
Right.
So we've got a very low market right now as far as the amount of homes that are being sold. So what happens when the market's low and there aren't a whole lot of sales compared to the past? Well, you try and do everything you can without, going back on everything that we spent 8 years and spending millions of dollars setting up a structure to do now.
Right.
So what do? We try to do 10-day closes. We try to, sell the fact that we can close a house in 10 days. How do you do that? Automated valuations of appraisals, because they normally take at least 2 weeks, right?
Right.
So you've got automated valuations. We've got programs out the yin-yang for down payment assistance. And hopefully we're going to actually, I've been trying to get a hold of one of the directors over at PHFA to get a show on about just the down payment assistance programs that are available in Pennsylvania, unfortunately. And I'm sure there's similar products available in other states, but we haven't delved into that just as much. So you've got all of these down payment assistance programs for down payment, closing costs, etc. Incentives for heroes, teachers, firefighters, frontline personnel.
These findings were addressed within 2 recommendations of Chapter 6 of the report. This concludes my presentation of Chimes EA. Again, the department concurred with all of the recommendations and has started implementing them, as you can see in their response. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sesnick. Questions for the auditor from the committee? Representative Homeland.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Sesnick, when you found errors, were they consistent across the board, or were they just intermittent and maybe actually it pointed to a problem with the computer program instead of the process that's set up?
Chairman, members of the committee, when we found errors, are you asking if we found an error with this piece, was it like that in all cases that had that same? No, it was fairly inconsistent, actually.
Follow up, please.
Follow. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, then do you believe that that points to a problem with the program or points to a problem with the way the program is being applied?
I'm sorry, excuse me?
Do you feel that that points to a problem with the software, the program, or the way that it's being applied?
Chairman, members of the committee, it's hard to say because there's so much involved and so many pieces of information into each one of those issues. It could be something was entered wrong. It could be that there is a back-end system issue. It's really hard to say what the majority of those are.
Further questions for the auditor? Representative Burnett.
Mr. Chairman, Mickey, this is really great work. This addresses something that's been troubling for especially the frontline workers, at OPA, the about 400 workers you mentioned. They've been tearing their hairs out for 2 or 3 years. And so I assume that some of them will be interested in the outcome of this hearing and the published reports. You showed one bar graph that had
maybe even a bankruptcy a couple of years ago trying to get pre-approved, or not yet?
You know, we've had. I wouldn't say that it's gone up that much because, honestly, I mean, most people know or at least have heard, and maybe they haven't. I could be wrong. You know, it used to be the age-old. After 7 years, your bankruptcy will fall off. Right. Or 10 years off of your credit. But after 7 years, you can go ahead and buy a home again, and you don't have to worry about it. A lot of things fall off your credit. That was always the magic number. And as we went on over the last 10 years or so, that number has dwindled quite a bit to the point where, depending on the circumstances, you can get into a house after 2 years of a bankruptcy discharge. I would say that only a very small percentage of people, even with that knowledge, applied for a mortgage.
So it's 7 years for it to fall off of their credit report, the bankruptcy, but it's only 2 years.
That's actually 10 years. 7 years. 7 years is the magic number as far as what you would go according to, but it would automatically come off in 10 years.
Okay, that's when it completely falls off their credit report. But in order for them to be able to get financed, 24 months?
Minimum of 24 months, and it all depends on the circumstances.
Okay. All right.
So it would basically, you would have to have had some sort of tragedy. It's all based off of really a letter of explanation as far as what happened, and kind of a little bit of a gray area there, like, oh, well, they fell on hard times, they had to do a bankruptcy because of death in the family, loss of a job, whatever the case may be. And that was all brought about because of the initial crash. You know, since then, you're not seeing as much of that 2 years, so 3 year really is kind of the benchmark number.
What about same thing on a refinance? So maybe somebody went through, Chapter 13, where they would have done like a reorganization for, 5 years?
Well, see, now 13 is a little bit different because with certain lenders and certain programs, depending on what your loan to value is, of course. Right. If you're under 13 payments and you pay them on time, in certain circumstances, it's 24 months on time, you can prove the payments, or 36 months. They kind of take that into account and allow you to do the refinance.
Oh, okay. So as long as they have equity and made their payments on time.
And it's basically reestablished credit if you look at the 13. So
Gotcha.
when they look at it from a perspective of risk.
Now, are you talking 13 payments to the bankruptcy trustee or 13 mortgage payments?
The bankruptcy trustee.
Oh, because you have to pay them on time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, you don't have to, but they're going to go ahead and get like a verification of bankruptcy, just like they're going to get a verification of rent.
Okay.
They're going to send into the trustee, okay, were they paid on time? And if they come back, no late payments over a 24, 36-month period, they're kind of golden.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, the way a lender's going to look at it, or anybody looking to give out credit, is, well, they've got 1/3 the debt that they did 2 years ago, and they've paid it all on time. So if we give them credit, we're kind of gold. That's one way that they look at it.
That makes sense. A lot of people, too, we're getting some questions here off of Facebook, while we're waiting for our water guy to see if he comes in today, was, why is it important to use a professional realtor to sell your home? And some of the things that were in this particular article this week were that realtors tend to get a better price on people's homes than a for sale by owner. Mm-hmm. And that most buyers are looking on the internet, and unless a for sale by owner is really well versed in getting their home everywhere it needs to be seen, it's not being able to have what they call that digital exposure.
So here's a question for you then. Perhaps you know this, perhaps you don't. With a for sale by owner, do we know, or is there a stat that tells us how long a for sale by owner home has been on the market versus how long homes that are listed are on the market?
Good question.
I'd be willing to bet that it's much longer than if it's on the MLS, because in this market, I'm constantly seeing this, and even a friend of mine's house was just listed, and a bigger house, and it sold like that. No more than 3 weeks, maybe a month. And you would think that the larger homes would sit on the market longer, obviously, than the $100,000
But it was probably priced right. It was probably clean.
Right. But I guarantee you that would have sat longer if you tried the for sale by owner it.
Because it just wouldn't have had the exposure.
Right.
Yeah. They're saying that only 2% of buyers buy their homes directly from a seller.
Well, the other thing that I was thinking about with that whole topic, if you've got a buyer, and let's just say a first-time home buyer, and you saw a for sale by owner, wouldn't there be just a little bit of anxiety as far as how to go about that whole transaction? You're going in blind. What do I do? What do I do about paperwork? What about all those inspections and appraisals and stuff everybody told me about? I would like John Realtor over here to kind of walk me through this process. And if I'm going in with a for sale by owner, I don't know what I'm going to get. That's part of why you hire a realtor, is because they're the professional, they know what they're doing. And how do you know you're not going to miss out on who knows what by not going the normal route?
Right, and that's definitely something that we've seen over the years. I've personally seen it with for sale by owners, that they sell the property and they come into issues, what we call potholes along the sale route, trying to get it to settlement, and they don't know how to deal with them. Things like a water issue or a septic issue, or it needs some repairs, and they sort of don't know how to regroup and then gather together what they need to move forward,
or renegotiate,
or don't even realize that they can renegotiate.
Right. They probably think they're stuck. So yeah, there's a lot of use a realtor. At the end of the day, use a realtor. I have a little bit of exciting news.
What's that?
GSF Mortgage, of course, yes, the company that I work for, has started a one-time close loan
for new construction. Well, tell us more. How does that work?
Well, this is kind of exciting because it was a pilot program over the last month and a half in Florida.
Okay.
And, of course, in Florida is a big market for that kind of loan, I guess, or product. But the concept was originally brought out for manufactured. So central Pennsylvania, I can think of about 3 different builders or manufacturers that build manufactured homes. I think we actually had the president on.
Well, yeah, we're actually I think like the number 1 state for manufactured homes.
So I actually find this very, in my position, very exciting. So what this is, you were either A, buying a manufactured home to put on what, a lot in a
community.
Yeah, in a community. Or B, it was normally your responsibility to have a plot of land somewhere, and then you'd have costs associated with sticking this home on a lot somewhere, correct?
Correct.
Now, the beautiful thing about a one-time close is, as opposed to trying to get financing for the land, financing for the manufactured home, and then have to pay for the builder to sit it on a permanent foundation, hook it up, the whole 9 yards. With a one-time close, you literally get pre-approved once. Then you go under contract for the land to buy your manufactured home, no matter what size it may be. You close and you're done. Everything is now handled, all is one. And the beautiful thing is it's not a construction loan. It is, but a one-time close does the draws automatically in that one loan and is automatically converted to a full-time 30-year mortgage at the end of this transaction.
So to walk our listeners through this, so what we're talking about is Tom and Sally go out, they find a lot, they find a home that they want to build on that lot, and the builder, let's just use it as it's a modular. So they would actually, when they settle on the loan, that's probably when the lot is paid for. Mm-hmm. The house has already been ordered probably. Mm-hmm. And then that's going to be, the foundation's going to go in, and the house is going to be delivered, and the check will be there to pay for that. And
everything's paid for.
And then when it's done, they pay the builder the final amount for finishing up the home.
Well, they don't. It's already included in the loan.
Well, no, I know, but in other words, so the builder gets paid once it's completely finished.
Correct.
They move in, and then
then their monthly payments start like a regular mortgage. They don't have to go through refinancing it, trying to find the end financing, which a lot of times you do. Because as it is, there's only like 1 or 2 companies that do this. And from my understanding, it hasn't been a great experience. So we went and tried to modify it to the point where this is a 30-day process like any other normal loan. And you qualify like you would any other loan, like an FHA with a 3.5% or 5% down for conventional. It's not like you got to put 20% down.
Right. Is there a premium though? So if the rate's 4.5% today, am I going to have to pay 5%?
I don't know what the rates are, to be honest with you. They're very competitive to the regular 30-year market, or to whatever product they're associated with. I'm sure there's probably some sort of a little bit of premium
because it's a little bit higher risk.
Right. Well, and it's also you're combining technically a construction loan with an end loan, so you're kind of getting all of the loans in one.
So how long do I have to be able to get my house up? Is it like 6 months? It probably varies.
It varies. And the beautiful thing with that is also, and we're kind of, like I said, in the beginning stages of this, so I'll be rolling this out probably maybe about 2 or 3 weeks here in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So we're kind of going through the particulars. But the beautiful thing is for those that have tried or have been looking to get a manufactured or modular home put on a site, when you buy land, trying to get a land loan is twice as hard as trying to get a regular loan, and you always typically have to put 20 to 30% down on just a lot land.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you're only having to put down your traditional 3.5% to 5% of a regular loan because it's all encompassing into the one loan.
Even if you went the volcano pool in the backyard?
Yeah, well, let's not go too far. I'm not sure how that volcano would affect the value.
We could test it out with you.
Oh, I'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens. But then whoever's putting the volcano in has to realize that if I don't get the loan, they're not getting paid. But I'll be willing to test it for that. But yeah, and the other beautiful thing is, let's say it does take 5-6 months, to put the whole project together until you're finally living in the property and everything's graded, etc. Interest on the construction loan is already rolled into the loan. So a lot of times when you get a construction loan...
So wait, so you mean I'm not making payments while the house is being built?
Correct.
Or I am?
No.
No.
The house is already built, but while it's being assembled on the land and put on a permanent foundation, right?
But that could still take a few months.
So under the normal circumstance, when you're buying a manufactured home, and I guess a lot of the SIP homes that we had discussions about would also qualify for this, and actually, this loan works with builders.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's
nice little bonus. So
yeah.
if you're getting, let's say you're not getting a, what do they call those the cookie cutter homes that they put up, spec homes, right? So a builder builds a spec home, it's sitting on the market. If it's not under that circumstance and the builder doesn't, because there's a lot of homes where the builder doesn't finance for you the construction portion of it.
Right.
You're a lot of times responsible for finding a construction loan.
Correct.
Who was it that we had on that had to build the SIP homes? They do about 7 or 8 a year.
Robin.
Yes.
Okay. And his wife.
Right.
Yes.
You have to, when you go through them, have to find the construction loan, and then at the end of that, finance it into a regular 30-year mortgage.
Right. Would make more options to build a home with them.
Right. Well, a one-time close, it would be the same thing.
And you get that high energy efficient home.
You get the high energy efficient home. You don't have to make payments during the construction, which under a normal construction loan,
that's huge.
You do. So that would all be rolled into the end product.
Okay.
So, assuming it doesn't take you 5 years, I'm assuming. To build a home, but under normal construction periods, you buy it once. The land, the home, the construction, and the end result are all in the one loan.
Nice.
I'm very excited about it. It's going to be huge here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, because construction financing, the last 5 or 6 years has been very difficult to find, and a lot of times to be able to find it and be able to put it together on a regular stick build or going the modular route or manufactured route has been tough because the product hasn't been out there.
Yeah, there's been very few lenders and or investors, I should say, in the market that I guess there's just been a lot of defaults in the past.
Well, I'm sure that it's been high risk, a little bit higher risk, but it sounds once again like credit is loosening, maybe not getting real loose, but it's still, they're loosening it up, with Fannie and Freddie going to the no appraisal product with this construction financing like you're talking about. That's sort of pretty bullish on the market. That sounds like we're digging out.
I think we have been. Part of it, I think, is fueled by the fact that we don't have much of a market. So they're almost forced to come up with different programs that will entice people to buy homes.
So are mortgage apps up or down right now?
I'd kind of say flat. It was the summer, so they're going to naturally be up compared to the rest of the year. But I would say they're probably flat versus the last couple of years.
Okay.
And this is just a normal market, and then here we are going into the school year, so naturally the applications are going to start to dwindle down a little bit until the spring. I've had a lot of people that have pre-qualified that just don't necessarily want to pull the trigger yet, and a lot of that is
that they're not seeing the inventory out there that they like?
No inventory.
They're very, very light, very light.
So I had somebody looking the other day. And first-time home buyer, didn't want anything extravagant, looking in the, maybe $100,000 to $150,000 range. And as you know, when those homes come onto the market, they're gone if they're actually decent homes.
Right.
The only ones that are there
need work.
Are the HUD, the foreclosures, need work, have been vacant for 5 years, etc., which still is a great bargain because you're seeing these homes that could be worth $150 with a little bit of elbow grease. And folks, the 203K is still a very viable option to finance and relatively easy. You qualify just like you would an FHA loan. So you get $35,000 in renovations into a house. There really isn't that much more involved with the qualification of it than buying a home that's already done. And you can walk into this house with $20,000, $30,000 in equity just for putting a little bit of effort into it.
Right. A lot of people, though, may need a new kitchen, may need new floor coverings, new windows, things like that.
Could be something as simple as appliances.
And that can all be wrapped in with the 203K. Yeah. I know some of the people, though, it seems like don't seem to have the vision to be able to do that. And it seems like some of, making a sweeping generalization, a lot of the millennials seem to want it perfect now, like mom and dad's house.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
Right, because we're seeing shop-worn inventory or inventory that's going off the market within days.
Yeah, because if it's actually a livable house,
there it's gone.
And it's priced, it literally is gone.
Right.
And you and I, my wife and I look all the time. I mean, we're constantly looking at the market just to see what pops up at any given point. And no sooner does she say, hey, look, here's a new one this week. She'll go in and look, and it'll say pending. I mean, it really is that quick. If you find a house that's priced right, and that's in good condition, they're gone
very quickly.
So you really do, if you want to own a home, which, if rates do go up, and I hate to be that guy. I don't want this to sound like a sales pitch to buy a home, but if rates do go to 5% or 5.5%, and you're a first-time home buyer, and I don't know where you're working, but let's just say we're not all making six figures a year, and I have a car payment and a family, and that $1,200 a month payment, when I was looking at like a $150,000 house in Mechanicsburg, if you can find one in Mechanicsburg, is on the bubble of what I can afford. And 6 months to a year from now, rates are 5.5%. That bubble's over the edge. You may have missed your window of opportunity. And opportunity to own a home with the interest deductions and all the other benefits that you get out of home ownership, are you going to kick yourself in the pants for not taking that opportunity now when you have it?
Well, you may be kicking yourself in the pants down the road because your buying power may have fallen and the prices go up. So the prices are going up.
That's what I'm saying.
Your buying power, if it goes down, it's a double whammy.
Your window may be gone. So, then you're going to have to do that whole, oh, well, someday I'll have more money and I'll qualify and I'll get a better job and the whole 9 yards. So just by having...
So you're going to buy 2 tickets for the Powerball this next time?
Well, I bought 2 last time. So I might buy 3 this time if it comes up to, $700 million again. Because otherwise, it's not worth it to me.
Well, we have John Staz, our home inspector. He's on the line. And John, this morning is going to be talking about the scope of a home inspection and what the standards are. How about that?
Sounds exciting. John?
How you doing this morning, John?
Great. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Any exotic places this week?
So Kingsley doesn't play until it's over $100 million.
Yeah,
the $40 million won't do you any good.
It really wouldn't, John. I mean,
John, they were in here calculating what the taxes. They were worried about what the taxes were they were going to have to pay on it here this morning. Would it even matter to have to pay the taxes?
What good is it if you have to pay all that tax on $100 million?
You're
only getting.
I'd only have $70 million left. It's for $60 million left over. What good is that? I mean, that wouldn't even buy my volcanoes.
It's not even worth the money for the ticket for that.
That's actually a good question. Would $60 million buy an actual volcano in Hawaii? I mean, you think
I'll Google
get
it
a volcano somewhere? Maybe not Hawaii, but.
I think that would be worth the investment if I had that extra.
Somewhere in the Pacific.
Extra $60 million lying around. There's got to be a way to monetize a volcano. So, home inspections. Give us a little rundown.
Yeah, so just wanted to talk about the standards of a home inspection, what to expect. Fortunately for the general public, most of the standards of practice, we call it an SOP, standard of practice for a home inspection, are pretty similar among the different inspection organizations. So that's good. See, when you get a home inspector, most of them are following, pretty similar standards. I actually have found, just through hiring home inspectors and having a home inspection business, I really like the American Society of Home Inspectors standards because they're pretty rigorous, and the test, a home inspector that I know has passed the ASHE test, or American Society of Home Inspectors, is pretty rigorous, so you know that they have a very good base of knowledge after passing that test.
Whoa. Hold on a second. You mean to tell me that if a friend of mine says, hey, Kingsley, I need you to go do a home inspection on my house, and I have no experience whatsoever with home inspections or testing or classes or anything like that, I can't just go do a home inspection for him?
Well, you could, but you might get yourself into a little trouble. So it's not just the testing and study and coursework. There's actually requirements in Pennsylvania, fortunately, that a home inspector do a certain number of inspections. They call them side-by-side inspections with an experienced inspector as part of their training.
So I couldn't just, wake up one day and say, honey, I'm done with mortgages. I'm going to open up the Kingsley business of home inspections and just decide to be in home inspections tomorrow. I can't just do that and start hiring myself out?
It's kind of funny that you say that because this was a few years back. I think it was around Pittsburgh. There was a newscaster that he went online and he found one of the home inspection organizations, no experience. He was a newscaster. He took the test and he actually passed it, and he went on air and said, hey, I'm a home inspector now. And it was pretty embarrassing for both the industry and the organization. I forget which one it was, but it was pretty embarrassing for the home inspection industry, the story that came out a few years back. But the ASHE standard of practice and the ASHE home inspector exam, he wouldn't have been passing that without any knowledge for sure.
So basically it was like the Acme School of Home Inspections that he passed? Is that, in essence, what happened?
Yeah, it was actually a fairly well-known and regarded organization that home inspectors join. But there's several of them. In Pennsylvania, the home inspection law requires that a home inspector be a member of one, among some other requirements.
So in Pennsylvania, what are the requirements? So they have to belong to a certified association of home inspectors. And what else do they have
Correct.
to do, John?
They have to complete, I believe it's 100 side-by-side inspections. So they have to go out with an experienced home inspector looking over their shoulder, supervising their work for at least 100 inspections.
And I assume at that point that whoever you're side-by-siding with has to kind of give you the, W worthy after about 100 of them.
Yeah, it's a combination of, doing the experience, having the more experienced inspector looking over your shoulder. There's a requirement for carrying errors and omissions insurance that's spelled out in the home inspection law. They also, interestingly enough, they spell out, what's a home inspection for, and they say it's to find what's called a material defect, which is a defect that can affect the value of the home or be of significant expense moving forward, to the homeowner. And they spell that out pretty clearly in the law. So it's good that Pennsylvania is one of the states that has a home inspection law.
So at the end of the day, I mean, not anybody can really go out and become an inspector, which, is the most important thing, because you're putting a lot of faith, trust, and a lot of money, if you think about it, into an investment of a property that you want to feel like you're getting your dollar's worth, number one, and that you're not buying a Yugo.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really important is, like, as I mentioned, the standard of practice, or the SOP. And basically it's a list, and it says the inspector will look at this, the inspector can't see this. And it's pretty much dictated by common sense. Of course we can't see inside the wall, but so the prospective buyer, or the person that's going to use the service, they can look over this and they can see, what to expect from the home inspection prior to getting it done. So it helps bring them into common ground with the home inspector of what they can expect during the inspection. Now, fortunately, you read over that, you got to keep in mind the inspector's spending 2 or 3 hours at a house, and it's hard to, there's situations like, for example, the seller may have painted things or moved things out of the way or cleaned things up. So we're there for 2 or 3 hours trying to make an assessment. Now, the good news is, for example, let's say there's a roof leak. A lot of times there may be 3 different ways we can find that roof leak. So, for example, we're up on the roof and we see a plumbing stack that's deteriorated. Then we go into the attic and we see there's staining on the sheathing. Then we go into the living space and we see there's a stain on the drywall. So it's not always, there's some detective work, but it's not like a needle in the haystack that would find that. If we couldn't get access to that particular area of the attic, maybe we'll see that stain. So a lot of times, a little detective work and putting, 2 or 3 things, like small clues together to pinpoint or to more or less diagnose a condition that needs to be evaluated by a roofer. It's not, or another specialist.
So
it's not just a needle in the haystack scenario.
If most buyers, when getting a home inspection, I guess would either blindly just kind of go off of what their realtor says and say, hey, let's use this guy over here, because at the end of the day, as professionals in this industry, it's our job to protect the buyers and our clients. So, I would hope that most realtors are going to recommend somebody that's got some experience in that industry. I know you've got 25 years experience in inspections, so I have no problem ever recommending you when it comes to inspections, because I know, your background, etc. But let's say somebody is just online doing a search and say, I need somebody for a home inspection because I'm buying my parents' house. And they're going to just sell it to me, or whatever, an uncle's house or a friend's house, whatever the case may be. Is there some way to know what aside from you just saying I've got 25 years experience on the internet, is there a symbol? Is there like a license that people can verify and see? Like you talk about these standards.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of biased because I'm a member of the American Society of Home Inspectors, and, I'd like to say, this is my personal opinion, that you find somebody that's a member of ASHI, that's a good starting point. As you mentioned, the real estate agents and word of mouth, people, a lot of times the agents will get used to working with a company and they know what to expect. And they know how to read the reports. Different companies have different reports. Some are easier to read than others. And, as a real estate agent, you get used to, well, I know his reports. I know how to read them. I can read them quickly. I can navigate through the report. It's informative. I can see what's going on. So word of mouth, real estate agents, online forums, looking for
a
membership to
Is there a licensing?
Do you get an actual license from the state like we do as real estate agents? Do they give you like a little card to carry in your wallet?
Yes, some states do have that. In Pennsylvania, they have the real estate law. So, but yeah, some states do have licensing, like for contractors.
But right now, the state doesn't issue you here in Pennsylvania a license.
That's not in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is not one of the states that requires a home inspector license and has licensing through the state.
So is there a site, however, like, for example, if I want to look up an attorney, I can see that they're licensed by going to several different websites to see that they passed a bar. Is there a site that I can go to, like maybe an ASHI site, to say, yeah, this guy actually did take testing or really does have this resume? I mean, at the end of the day, if John or I are going to recommend you, based on past experiences, that's one thing. But again, if I'm blindly going in and I have no idea, how would I verify an inspector's track record and or qualifications?
Well, sure. There's the American Society of Home Inspectors does have a website. You can go there and verify if somebody's in fact a member in good standing or a current member of the American Society of Home Inspectors. I think it's ASHI.org is their website.
Okay. So and that's kind of what we're looking for. So you would want to go to ASHI.org, and by going there, you would be able to say, hey, Joe Schmo actually really did go through some classes and knows what he's talking about, as opposed to, Kingsley just opening up shop one day and deciding to charge, 20 people for home inspections, walking in for 30 minutes, and, yep, looks good to me. Good luck.
Everything looks good.
Yep, no issues here. Yeah, you might want to put some paint in that back room, but other than that, everything looks great.
Give it a thumbs up.
Exactly.
Kingsley's thumbs up.
Exactly. And it would look great for that 5 minutes, but 10 years from now it might be an issue. And I'll be out of business by then.
Well, John, thank you so much this morning. What's the best number to contact you at?
Best number, 717-233-6144.
And the website is?
Website, evqharrisburg.com.
Well, thanks again. We appreciate you coming on, and we'll be talking with you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a great week.
You too.
So, yeah, I never knew that. I mean, I always kind of wondered what makes a home inspector a home inspector. I never knew they had to take classes or because kind of like the appraiser that we had on.
Right, but they actually have like an apprenticeship program. So I actually did just pop the ASHI site up on there on our site, for people to look at, so you can find that is one of the organizations. And
it sounds like one of the standard organizations.
Correct. One of the better known ones.
Right.
Well, we finally got our office open this week up in Cole Township.
Very nice.
Big Dog's from back there. He's from Shamokin.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's from Shamokin. Yeah,
home of the pierogies, right?
yeah, pierogi capital of the world.
Yes.
But yes, we did get opened up there, so we are hiring agents. If you know of anybody up there in the Shamokin, Cole Township, Ashland, Wilburton type area, we are looking only for a few, maybe 3 or 4 agents. And, that's one thing that we're doing. Also, I am still looking for a good licensed admin assistant to work out of World Headquarters Monday through Friday, 4 hours a day, for me personally, and doing some work for us on the radio show too. So if we can definitely reach out to me, 717-554-7430, or PM me on Facebook.
Yeah. Real Estate Radio Guy.
I'll be good.
And I am as well at my office. Will be looking for an assistant part-time. So if you happen to be licensed...
Well, they could work at World Headquarters a whole day.
A whole day.
We put them together for a whole day.
If you happen to be licensed in the mortgage industry and are looking for some sort of work in that avenue, you can give me a call. Perhaps we can cross-train.
Yeah, who knows?
You never know.
That means they'll have to sit in for us here, maybe every quarter.
Right now is a great time to get in. We're just looking for somebody that's motivated, that possibly might want to have full-time work. You can call me at the office, 717-200-4800. But yeah, this was an exciting, I think, end of the year for a lot of us. Next year, I think, is going to end up being better than this year. So yeah, we've got some new programs. Like I said, in 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be rolling out the one-time close. So for those of you out there that are looking to build and are doing, God, I can't even think this morning. A builder that's doing a
modular?
No. They're like a one-time special build. There's spec building, and then there's blank building.
Custom.
There you go.
Custom homes.
That was such a big word I couldn't come up with this morning. So if you're looking to get a custom home built, a lot of the builders don't finance the construction, so you have to come up with a construction cost. So I'm excited to roll that out. Hopefully we're going to be getting PHFA on.
Good.
There really isn't enough people to take advantage of that program.
No, I know. So, folks, just to remind you, Kingsley and I are both looking for assistance. He would like to find one that's got some mortgage experience. I'd like to have one that's a licensed real estate agent. I'm looking for my person to work out of world headquarters in Lewisberry for me, 5 days a week, 4 hours a day to start, and also do some regular real estate business. We are also hiring up in Cole Township. And the last thing that I have is we still have about 110 tickets left. That's about it out of the tickets for the September 10th game down at the Barnstormers. Please reach out to Jesse Storm or PM me. Those tickets, I thought when he first did this, I thought, wow, 1,000 tickets is aggressive for us to be able to give away. And here we are, a few weeks away, and we're down to
100, which is
nothing.
Really, I mean, and we're not just giving them away one at a time. We're giving them away for the family.
That's
so
correct.
If you happen to be a fireman, police officer, veteran,
yeah. So we're getting ready to wrap up the show. So I wanted to let you know that obviously our guest today, Mr. Rhodes from Rhodes Water, we had some communication errors, but he will be on next week, and we will be talking about bad water, no water, smelly water.
Smelly water?
Yeah, smelly water.
Very
smelly
nice.
water. Yep.
Smelly water.
So just giving you a heads up on that. So as we're wrapping things up here, what's our close here, Kingsley?
Well, I'm not really sure what the close is. I think it has something to do with real questions.
Yeah, real questions.
real people.
Real answers.
Real answers. As
one
always,
day we'll get that all together.
We will get that all together. Kingsley with GSFPA.GoLoan.com.
John with brokersrealty.com. Till next week, guys. Please get your real estate on.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Real Estate Radio Guys with John Rainville and Kingsley Harmer. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit PAGoLoan.com, brokersrealty.com, and Facebook.com/Real Estate Radio Guy. If you enjoyed the episode, please rate and review, and we'll catch you next time on the Real Estate Radio Guys.
You're listening to the Morning Sunshine on Oldies 102.9 WHYL.
Joe, Ricky, and Bryce, good time oldies. WHYL.
Do you like good music? That sweet soul music. Just long as it's swinging. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We out here on the floor, y'all. I'm going to a go-go. Dancing with the music. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You're listening to the Morning Sunshine on Oldies 102.9 WHYL.